Good morning, everyone. My name is Usha Setembe. I'm a product manager, and I'll just be having a short talk with us. Today, we are talking about collaboration and communication, balancing collaboration with deep work. So, by way of introduction, am sure some of us are wondering what this all about, especially when we talk about deep work. So balancing deep work with collaboration and communication involves uh, finding the right mix between uninterrupted individual work and effective teamwork, ensuring both your personal productivity and collective productivity is progressive. So we're looking at your personal productivity and then the collective progress in the tech space. It's a common thing to collaborate when we talk about the tech space. The tech space is so interesting that there is no island, right? You cannot be an island. There's a songwriter that said, "No man is an island." And I take cue from the lyrics of that song to say, if you're going to succeed as a tech professional, there is a need for collaboration. And then we're going to be talking, what do you bring to the table? Because when you come to the table of collaboration, you are not going to come empty handed. You need to come with value, a value you are going to contribute at the table. And that's where deep work comes. The function of deep work to give you the value that is needed to come to the table prepared. All right, so before we jump ahead and have some more, deeper discussions, I would like us to do some few definition of terms. First, we talk about collaboration. What's collaboration? Collaboration is all about working together to achieve a common goal. When two or more people work together and they have a common goal to achieve, they are collaborating and laboring together to ensure that that goal is being fulfilled. Then we talk about deep work. What's deep work? Focused, distraction free work that maximizes cognitive abilities. Deep work is a focused, distraction free work that maximizes cognitive abilities. Then finally, I would like us to look at the meaning of balance. When we talk about balance, we're looking at the equilibrium between collaborative efforts and individual focused tasks. I'm going to come again right there. The equilibrium between collaborative efforts and individual focused tasks. So collaboration must be matched up with deep work. We're going to look at the value of deep work in the place of collaboration. So I believe that these terms are clear because we're looking at the interjection between collaboration and deep work and how balance achieves definite results in the space. Okay, so permit me to jump on to discuss with us the importance of collaboration in a cross-functional team. What's the importance of collaboration in a cross-functional team? First, collaboration brings about innovation. Wherever you see innovation in the space, wherever you see innovation either in sciences or in technology, it came about by collaboration. When I went to do my master's, I realized that you cannot achieve anything when you begin to do an advanced degree or study without deep research by collaboration. So all efforts need to come together. When you're building an airplane or you're building a ship, it's collaborative work. Someone got to work on the engine, someone has to work on the chairs, someone has to work on everything. The windows is made by someone. Even building tech, our phones today, the mobile phones that we use today, you realize that when you pick up your phone, sometimes even the iPhone will be developed in the US and coupled in China. Sometimes the battery is made in China or made in US. So if you open the battery of your phone, you will realize that inside or on the battery, it is written made in China. Whereas the outside of the phone, the pack, you will see that that phone is made in the US. That's collaboration. Now you ask yourself, why can't they build the battery in the US? That's what we're going to be talking about. So what is China bringing to the table? What is the US bringing to the table? What is Japan bringing to the table? Why do they have to do the casing in Japan? Why did they have to develop the chip in the US? Why did they have to get the battery, let's say, from Sweden and then couple it in China? So sometimes for a product to get to the market, it goes through 3 or 4 countries before the manufacturing and market readiness of that product is being achieved. So that comes by collaboration, right? So innovation enhances innovation through diverse perspectives. Then we look at problem solving. One of the best ways to solve problems is through collaboration. This improves problem solving by pulling expertise together. So collaboration brings different experts. They come together and then they are able to achieve a common goal. For those of us that are in software development, when we have a bug and it's becoming a challenge, what happens is that we call a meeting, a collaboration. Sometimes you drop a link and then you get on the call either on Google Meet as we are here or on Zoom. Then you begin to discuss, okay, I'm having this challenge. You begin to check, is it with the deployment? Is it with the database? What exactly? Is there a line of code? Did we omit something somewhere? Sometimes you have to review the entire code. Sometimes you have to review the merge that was done on Git. So we begin to troubleshoot. That's where debugging and troubleshooting came about. So after troubleshooting and debugging, a team member suddenly notices or brings his own expertise and said, few years ago, I had a similar challenge and this is how I solved it. That's where expertise comes in. When you have a senior developer or an engineering manager who is on call, who has experienced all kinds of bugs, so when you bring up a bug, instead of spending 2 weeks trying to fix that bug, he's able to immediately say, this is the way we solve this. That's why most companies have engineering managers. They have senior developers on the team. And part of their responsibility is to handle difficult things. Okay, now let's move on quickly. Efficiency. Collaboration brings about efficiency. It increases efficiency by aligning team efforts. So it's no longer a one man's business, it's now a collaborative effort. So here we are talking about innovation. Collaboration brings about innovation. It enables problem solving. You are able to solve problems faster, quicker, and in a better way, right? Then efficiency, it helps teams to be much more efficient when they work together. Okay, let's jump on right there. Effective communication for successful collaboration. I put the word effective because when communication is not effective, it could be challenging, could bring about a lot of issues. So effective communication is key to collaboration. So when you are collaborating, you need to communicate, and there are different ways we communicate. You communicate by writing, you communicate by speech, one on one. As we're speaking here right now, I'm communicating. I'm communicating knowledge to you. Now you've got to respond at the end of the day by asking certain questions, right? So there are different ways we communicate. And whenever collaboration is being mentioned, you must set up an environment for communication. So the environment of communication could be by creating a group chat. So people come together because they have a common purpose. And then they begin to talk about a project. We have this project, the ideation begins, and then everybody contributes. Sometimes collaboration can be achieved by coming together on a virtual call like this. and then everybody puts on their camera, and then you talk or you raise up your hand. It's your turn to say something. Another person responds. Then there's someone who is moderating. There's somebody who is taking the minutes. And at the end of the day, you are going to put together the ideas, and there's a useful outcome. So in collaboration, you could use tools like Slack for instant messaging, WhatsApp. Companies have different preferences. Some companies are addicted to Slack, some strictly they stay with WhatsApp. Some use Telegram for instant messaging. Then emailing, it's a very good tool. A lot of companies use emails. I don't think there's any company that does not use emails. I've known companies that strictly communicate, their major communications is via emails. When you go to banks, they use emails a lot. So you write email, you copy team leaders, you copy the team members, and then their responses, you are doing a back and forth via emails. I remember a couple of times when we, in the early days, we started integrating payment gateways, and we're going to integrate either Paystack or Flutter. We have to communicate with the Paystack team. So we jump on the call sometimes with the sales department, and the sales department will give us a breakdown of the pricing. And afterwards, when we ask technical questions, they go to the engineering team, they bring the engineers on call. Then the engineers respond to the technical questions, while the sales team respond to the financial questions. At the end of the day, we have to continue our collaboration via emails. So we write emails, we copy the necessary parties, and then there's a response. And as we go to fulfill the last response, sometimes an issue may come up, and then one of our engineers will come back again. We write and then action someone to respond again to a certain query. By that, we are collaborating and we're using different methods. It gets to an extent where we have to create WhatsApp group with clients. So we are discussing in the groups, we are discussing via emails, and then sometimes we use Microsoft Teams or we use Zoom or Meet, and we collaborate virtually. So Zoom is a good tool for collaboration. And the type of tool you choose per time to communicate and collaborate is dependent on the purpose, what you want to achieve that time. So instant messaging is good for follow up. You don't initiate collaboration with instant messaging. The best way to initiate collaboration is having a virtual call on Zoom or Meet. You have a virtual call, everybody talks and expresses themselves. Then you do follow ups by instant messaging. And sometimes, in order to initiate that virtual call, you may need to send an official email, get a certain approval. Emails are good for official collaborations and communications, where you need to collaborate or communicate with people in authority like managers, directors, etc. You might need to or have to send them emails and copy the necessary parties. Okay, so that's about effective communication for successful collaboration. So clear and concise communication helps avoid misunderstandings and keeps everyone aligned. There are people who are bad communicators, while we have people who are good communicators. Irrespective of the group you fall under, you've got to step up your communication game. It's a must. You cannot be in this space and you choose not to be a good communicator. I hear some people tell me, well, I'm naturally quiet, I don't like speaking. If you're naturally quiet, then you might not contribute much to the team. So you have to find your best way to communicate. Okay, so let's look at the next direction, the role of deep work, enhancing focus and contribution. So we've spoken about communication, we've spoken about collaboration. Communication means, passing on ideas either by speaking using voice chats, or you are using text messages, emails, however you're communicating, you're passing across information. Collaboration has to do with two or more people coming together and discussing about a certain purpose, a certain project or product, and looking at how to achieve a similar goal or the same goal as regards whatever the subject matter might be. Now, we now talk about teamwork, deep work. Why do we have to talk about deep work here? Now we talk about deep work because collaboration might seem distracting. You have to talk to this team, you have to be involved in different things. Let's say, for instance, you have to get involved with the sales team, you have to get involved in the design team. Now, where is the place of your own uh, personal work in direction of personal training, personal contribution of your own quota? As an engineer, you can't just stay on call talking with legal, talking with marketing, talking with sales, with the product managers and product designers, and not get to do your work. You have to do your work because during the stand up, you are going to give updates of what you did yesterday and what you plan to do today. So, how do I focus on my task at the same time be an effective collaborator and communicator? There are people who work in silos. The opposite of collaboration is silo, working in a silo, working alone. This is known especially amongst engineers. When you're managing engineers, you discover that there's an engineer that likes working in a silo. He's the last to make pull request, he's the last to commit his code, and most times is absent in stand-ups or meetings, and he just comes up with a bulky task he has done for the past 2 weeks and then gives you a waterfall testing to do. So how do you deal with that individual? You need to begin to teach the person the importance of collaboration and itemize the risk that his silo approach is bringing or causing the team, and then find ways of mitigating that risk together with the individual. So first, the individual must see that working in a silo will bring risk to the team. And if the team incurs risk, this is the cost. And then you work with him to move him from working in silo to becoming a good collaborator. All right, let's push on. I just want to take us to still look at deep work. Where is the place of deep work when it comes to collaboration and communication? What advantage does it bring to the table? So one of the first advantages is the fact that deep work allows for intense focus. It gives opportunity to focus on your task. And if you are able to focus on your task, you are going to produce a work that is good, right? So if you are focused on your task, the outcome of what you do will lead to high quality outputs. Now, deep work also brings specialized skills and thorough problem solving abilities. Special for you to become a specialist, you must take time to go deep in your career. For you to achieve that, you need to create time to be deep, time for research, time for growth, and doing your work to the detail. Because it is the little part everybody does that when you bring together, it becomes a whole. But when you bring the little parts together, it might not be wholesome if a certain individual did not do deep work, did not do his or her work properly. Is going to affect the entire whole. So while we all collaborate, you must contribute your part with an expertise mind. You must be a specialist in something. You cannot be a good collaborator if you're not a specialist in something. That means you're not bringing something tangible to the table. And this is the problem we have often in the industry. As a product manager, as a tutor, I teach an academy. One of the major challenges I have with my students is getting them to focus on a particular skill per time. One of the greatest challenges in the industry today, why a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Africans, and quite a couple of people, even in the West, are struggling to hone a particular skill in depth, is because when you met them last year, they were learning UI UX. When you meet them this year, January, they are now suddenly learning cybersecurity. Then mid-year, they jump to DevOps. Now, how does someone who has no background in engineering go to do DevOps? It makes no single sense. Then when you meet them in November, they have gone to cloud engineering and cloud computing. Then the following year, they have jumped back to product management. Afterwards, they go back to project management. Then they will return back to software engineering. They will start with front end. They will dump it halfway after learning HTML and CSS. They think they are done. Then they run back to back end. Now they will not continue with the same language. It gets worse when you go to engineering. They now begin to run through all the programming languages from Python to C Sharp to Java to JavaScript to the once they just hear that anything exists, they start learning it. Some are motivated based on the salary another person is earning. Wow, this guy is a data analyst and he's making it. Then suddenly that becomes their career pursuit. Then they hear that, oh, the reigning career in tech now is cybersecurity. They will take on cybersecurity. Sometimes they decide that, okay, I want to take this and this along. So when you tell people, focus on one thing. If you want to do UI UX, forget every other thing. Practice UI UX at least for the next 1 year, 2 years, until you become a pro. Then you can look for skills. Now, even when you're looking for other skills to hone, it has to be a skill, there has to be a skill network. There's what we call skill network. So it has to be a group of skills that align with your core specialty. So an individual that has not discovered his or her core specialty, we keep running through the cycle. So when it comes to collaboration, that person will be responsible for every delay the team is having because his skill is not deepened. So his contribution has certain weaknesses. So deep work is very critical if you are going to be a good collaborator. Okay, deep work brings about insights, contributes valuable insights from concentrated efforts. What do you mean by insights? This business, the space which we are, it's all about insights. Knowing current trends, knowing the past trends, history, where did we come from? You have to be fully updated, right? Especially in your specialty. For instance, if I'm collaborating, I don't expect anybody to be deeper in product management than I am. So if there is something new in product management, I will be the one informing the team. Oh, this is the way we do it now. When I see the HR department determine the JD and job description and title of my team members, I write the HR departments. This job title is no longer in vogue, and that's not the way we refer to it right now in the industry. This is the proper job title, and this is the expected job description, the JD. So I define the JD and the job title, then I hand it over to the HR department for approval. Sometimes they ask me to draft the KPI of the team members. Why? Because I ought to have that knowledge so far as product management is concerned, more than the HR department. Even if the HR manager is 20 years old, is 20 years older than me by profession. So far as product management is concerned, if I am the manager, if I'm the head of products, then it's expected that I've done deep work as regards product management. So you are a contributor on the collaboration table. You are a contributor in all other aspects, but you are a specialist in your own field. You should be a contributor. You can contribute to data analytics. As a product manager, I can contribute almost to any topic. Talk about data, talk about AI, talk about cybersecurity, talk about anything at all in tech. I can contribute extensively to an extent. I've studied, I've done courses, I've done certifications in all directions of this field, right? But I don't claim mastery in any of them except in product management. So that is how to go about this. Don't try to be a jack of all trades and master of none. And don't try to be a specialist of all trades. You also fail at it. Nobody can be good at everything. You can be best at something, good at many things. All right, high impact. Deep work helps the collaborator to make high impact. To it enhances overall team productivity by performing high impact tasks. There are tasks that are called high impact tasks. Those kind of tasks can only be produced by someone who has done deep work. For instance, in Nigeria now, a lot of people, companies want to build AI and machine learning related products. But where are the specialists? Is it somebody that just went to learn how to model a train uh, model, or just learned about training model, has never really trained any model, has never worked with big data? Is that the person that is going to do the job? Is that the person that will lead the team? So now we're looking for someone who has 5 years, 10 years in machine learning and AI, developing algorithms that will power systems in a smart way. We are looking for that individual. Are we going to find you as an expert in AI? Or you're going to say, well, I did data analytics, I did data science, I did machine learning, I did AI. I don't know which one of them is which, where to start. I really don't know. I also have this in cybersecurity. So that when you look at a typical African CV, it has so many things. And when you apply to companies like Apple, they have this algorithm. It's an AI algorithm, machine learning algorithm that sifts CVs. So many people's CV never gets to the HR table. So once you make application, the algorithm runs through the to your CV and checks if there's anything that is in your CV that is not relating to the job title. It throws away your CV immediately. So if you're applying as a data analyst, and then your CV, you're talking about how you taught in one village, in one school in your village, and after you taught English, then you now went somewhere and you baked bread. After you learned how to bake bread, you became a shoemaker in your CV, and then you train people in jogging, and now you did one course on using computers. I did a course on using computers. I am very good with Microsoft Word, and I can also use Excel. I use Excel to compute exam in primary school. My God, the AI will rusticate your this is like and filling it immediately. They are looking for a data analyst. What business do we have with a primary school village palm wine teacher? We are looking for someone who has the skill to deal with data. That's what they are looking for in your CV. So it's not every experience you put in each job application you are making. You need to analyze what is the requirement before you develop that CV. Because there's certain things I see in your CV that is boring. When I look at the CV, I go immediately to the work experience. And once I look at the work experience, I jump straight to the skills. I want to see what skills does this person have and how has he matched up this skill in the past in doing something great. If I see that this person accomplished a project and this is the outcome of that project by employing this skill, I don't care what any other person wrote in their CV. When you're doing an interview, you tell me how many courses, certificates you got on LinkedIn or Coursera. What have you done with those certificates? And somebody else tells me that he has been part of a team that developed a certain product that now has 1,000 people by traction and has made a revenue of this. Before you conclude, I already give you your employment letter. So you need to think, how can I do deep work, work that brings value? We'll stay so much here. So this is like a typical career demand flow, right? I use myself, for instance, as a product manager. So there's a product manager called Harry Hare. So now Harry Hare has a lot of responsibilities and he's going to collaborate with the business team, he's going to collaborate with the management team and down to customers, finance, marketing teams, all kinds of teams, cross-functional teams like engineering, product designers, and then he needs to have certain knowledge of products, expert knowledge on products. So now what does Harry Head needs to do? RN needs to gain some knowledge in order to collaborate effectively with these teams and perform some roles in business. Because as a PM, you need to perform roles, especially when you go up the ladder and you become a senior product manager or a head of products or vice president product. You need to do a lot of business. So at the point, you may need to pick up an MBA skills. Now, the fact that you went to do an MBA does not mean you are trying to become a business administrator. No, somebody may have his own core expertise in business administration, but for you, an MBA is just to add up and make you a better product manager. You need to always have that in mind. So, how deep you will go in your business administration, you don't need to go and compete with a core business administrator. No, I don't need to compete with a project manager. I just need to learn some project management skills and some program management skills. Then when you come to customer, you need to know your customer by research. You need to learn the customer research. You need to learn about finance, how to balance accounts. You need to know about how you calculate what we call the sum, and the term. Whenever you're going into business, there are those values you have to calculate to know what is my traceable revenue, what is the market share. You need to learn how to calculate the overall market share in every category and industry you are going to do business in. If you want to do a business in line with a marketplace, there is the total market share for e-commerce. You need to know it. You need to know the industries and the companies that have the highest market share. Currently, Amazon has the highest market share when we talk about e-commerce. Then you need to know what is the compound annual growth rate and use that to calculate your own growth rate and what your own market share is. These are calculations you need to know. So that basic calculation you need to know. So you may not need to go so deep and start learning evaluations and become a CFO. There's a work a CFO will do where you're looking for funding to do evaluation and more deeper calculations with a large Excel spreadsheet, all kinds of things happening there. You don't need to take on that responsibility. There's an expert that will do that, but there's the basics you need in order to make decision and even determine your pricing strategy, whether it's penetration strategy you're going to use, and how are you going to value your product out there in the market. So know what work to take deep, which one do I need to take partial, and what knowledge do I need from each department to be a good collaborator, so that when the finance team is speaking, you understand their language to an extent. Don't come to the collaboration table without having basic knowledge and understanding of certain terminologies and what other departments are doing, because you will be aloof. You are going to be out of line when they are discussing. You have no idea what they're talking about. So in order to have idea and to be a good collaborator, it's good to pick up this knowledge, and there are different ways to pick it. I may not have the time to do it today, because when I speak about this somewhere, some people misinterpret it. They think I'm telling them to go learn everything at once. Then they begin to register for 20 courses on Coursera, only to finish them in the next 50 years. But the way to pick this idea, sometimes as you're interacting with engineers, you're learning their language, you're asking questions, you need to be humble to ask questions. I'm not telling you to go and pick a course on software engineering at the same time when you have not even yet a product manager. We're running an internship. I had to kick some people out of my team because they apply. This is what I want to do, intent, only to come and begin to switch. So let's not go so deep into that right now. But now you are seeing the typical flow and the fact that it's important that you focus on deep work. I'm getting a message. Probably maybe it's time that it's okay. 8 minutes more. That's fine. I'll just wrap up right now. Okay, so I get to the end of this balancing vertical versus horizontal. So the vertical is your core specialty. I'm a product manager. I'm good. That's a vertical growth. So whatever growth contribution I'm doing to myself in product management is going to be vertical, right? So I'm taking myself up higher. Any other growth is horizontal. So I'm going to be taking it sinusoidal on the horizontal scale. So each time there's a rising peak, So now you see there's a chart here. So when you see this chart, you will see that the darker color here versus the white color. This white color is your growth, your sinusoidal growth in other areas that are not your core specialty. So, as a product manager, I'm going to have some certain levels of growth and experience in data analytics. This will help me to be a good product analytics manager. But then each time I reach a peak in that particular career path, that peak has to be a peak defined in line. See, you see that most of these peaks are matching up with the, so this dark color here, right? It shows the peak. This is the sinusoidal flow, growth flow of my core specialty. My core specialty. So you see at this point that there's a peak here. Now I get a peak here in learning data analytics. Now there's a certain direction in data analytics that is directly aligned with product management. I can take that particular learning curve to the peak, and then I try to align it with the product sense. So the way a data analyst who is called data analyst will study to become a data analyst is not the same way I'm going to study data analytics. I will study data analytics. I will be aligning it with my product analytics so that I can become a good product analytics manager, which at the end of the day will make me a better uh, product manager. So you see that that curve goes. Sometimes it looks like the other thing you're learning is going to overtake and overshadow your core specialty. But then there has to still be an alignment. Probably it could be that at that point in your career journey, you needed to focus more on that other direction because you have already mastered is to an extent your core skill, and then you decided to step down your growth, your vertical growth, for the horizontal growth to take preeminence at the moment. Now I don't have enough time to explain this chart. I don't have enough time to really go into this chart, but I believe you have a sense. So like there's a balancing you're doing. So this balancing, you need wisdom, you need mentorship in order to be guided. But at the beginning, you see that at the beginning of your career, your core direction needs to rise to the peak. It needs to rise to the peak, and it needs to be the end focus. At the end of your journey also, it's got that your core direction is at the peak, is at the higher um, trajectory. So you must know if a product manager come yesterday, come today, come tomorrow, I am a product manager. I don't change my title, irrespective of my knowledge in AI, irrespective of my knowledge in programming and software engineering, irrespective of my knowledge in design. I will not call myself a UI UX designer. I'm not going to call myself a cybersecurity engineer, but I have that knowledge. In fact, I have certificates. I have some understanding. In some aspects, I can even challenge some who are in that domain, in that knowledge, but I will never compete with them. But when you come to my own domain, then I stand there as, let me not use the word as a god, a magic god, but I stand there as a specialist. So if you say anything that I'm not aware of, then I'm troubled. How come this is my core domain and I have no knowledge of what this guy that is coming from cybersecurity is talking about? Let me go pick that knowledge. So that is how you do the balance. You focus on your domain. Whatever you're doing, you're looking, how can it make me a better this, a better engineer, a better DevOps, a better product manager? Listen to data. This is where I'm going to end. So according to a 2020 study by Harvard Business Review, 76% of professionals who dedicate focused time to skill mastery report higher job satisfaction and productivity compared to generalists. And can I tell you that they also report higher job retainership and employment more than those who are generalists, who are jack of many trades. So it pays to be focused. It pays to be an expert. It pays to do deep work in order to become a better collaborator. Thank you.